Hey guys, what is going on? I hope you all are doing well today. Elliot here and welcome back to The Fragrance Well. Today we're going to do a full review of the newest fragrance from Chanel, and that's going to be Allure Homme Sport Superleggera. This is the latest sport flanker from the Allure line. If I'm not mistaken, the original Allure Homme Sport came out in 2004. We of course had the Eau Extreme, and then there was like a sport cologne. As far as I know, there's no other sport flankers, so this is an interesting release, but I'm gonna just give my thoughts on it, and that's pretty much gonna be the gist of this video. So we'll just do a full breakdown. Again, this is not a first impressions. This is a full review of the fragrance. I've had the fragrance now for about a week. I have worn it like 3 days in a row, so I got the picture, got the gist of what this fragrance is. So let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do, as always, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also please hit that bell icon and enable notifications so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it. All right, guys, let's get into it. So first off, the presentation. Presentation is still a standard designer fragrance presentation. The box is right here, but you see there's nothing really special about it. Just has the name on it, your typical information. Now here is the bottle. Bottle is, again, it's the Allure Homme fragrance line bottle. The biggest difference in terms of, setting it apart from any of the other ones is this Superleggera label down at the bottom. I do believe that is glass work. And I'll get to something about that in a minute, but it is really nice. I do like the Superleggera thing on it. It's not really clear. If you can see, you can't really see like me right behind the bottle. I don't know what that's called in terms of glass work, but that's pretty much the bottle and the presentation, normal stuff on the bottom. So let's get into what the fragrance smells like. I have to I have to mention something before I kind of get into that. I'm not gonna say where I saw it, but you guys might know already. I saw an article written on this fragrance, somebody else's review. That was the most over-the-top piece of BS I had ever seen. And look, if the guy says he experienced it the way he experienced it, then he did. But this dude said basically that this fragrance is like an AI Frankenstein creation of every popular fragrance over the last 2 decades. He said there's Bleu de Chanel in here. He said there's Sauvage in here. There's La Mole in here. He listed some other stuff, and he was like, it was all Frankenstein into this. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, what? No, that was the most over-the-top nonsense I had ever seen. I don't know if he truly felt that way or if he was just trying to kind of get clicks on his article. Like I said, some of you might have even seen this breakdown, but I'm not going to say where I saw it here. If he says he experienced it that way, then shout out to him, but I just didn't get that at all. What was this for me? This fragrance is basically Chanel Allure Homme Sport. It is a true flanker where the citrus I find to be a little bit richer, a little bit more forward, a lot more present. I don't really want to say sharper. I don't quite think it's that. I think it's just a lot more forward compared to the original Allure Homme Sport. The like vanillic and tonka bean kind of creaminess that was in the original Allure Homme is not here. I'm not gonna say it's 100% gone. There is like a muskiness that kind of adds that element in here a little bit. And of course you still have the cedarwood, sandalwood that is in a lot of the Allure Homme fragrances, or should I say it's just kind of in a lot of Chanel fragrances that is still here. So there's maybe a slight creaminess, and the more I've worn the fragrance, the musk has started to come out a little bit more now that some oxygen has gotten to the bottle. But that is pretty much gone. The vanilla, tonka bean kind of thing is not here anymore. And the woods are ramped up for sure. So the cedarwood, sandalwood combination is much more present. And again, there's just a little bit of musk kind of countering that a little bit. That's basically the fragrance. In terms of, is this better than the original Allure Homme Sport? That's kind of left up to the eye of the beholder. I would say this is a more modern iteration of it. I didn't even notice it until today by looking at the box for it, but this is an eau de parfum compared to the original being an eau de toilette. I didn't even put that together literally until right before I started this video. So that's pretty much what the fragrance smells like, and I was gonna do like a I normally do like a comparison section. That is the comparison. It smells like a flanker to the original Allure Homme Sport. Now I do not own the original Allure Homme Sport, but I did do my due diligence with it before and once I bought this fragrance to kind of do comparisons. So that's why I'm, able to kind of say I feel confident in knowing what the comparisons are. But I never really was much of a fan of the original Allure Homme Sport. It didn't quite captivate me as much as the Eau Extreme did, which is probably the case for a lot of people, particularly if you weren't into fragrances when the original Allure Homme Sport came out. So since there's really no reason to do a comparison, because like I said, it's a true flanker of the original Allure Homme Sport, let's move on to performance. It's still a sport fragrance. I mean, you can't expect this to last for 10 hours, but I get a good 6 to 8 out of it, which is pretty good for a sport fragrance in my opinion. And I need to disclose this also. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of sport fragrances. So for me to kind of grab this, it must have really impressed me because I'm not a big sport fragrance fan. I don't have a whole lot of them in my collection. But in all honesty, as soon as I got my nose on this, I was browsing the department stores one day, and the department manager at Neiman Marcus, because this is where this is an exclusive at, reminded me that this fragrance was there, and I said, yeah, let me smell it, let me get my nose on it. As soon as I did, as soon as it touched it, I was like, I might need to pick that up. He actually got me a sample of it. I just kind of checked it out later that evening, and I texted him and told him like, yeah, I'm gonna pick up a bottle this weekend, so just go ahead and hold one for me. But yeah, performance is kind of what you would expect from a sport fragrance. It's not gonna last all day. It doesn't last all day for me, but I get more than enough out of here. I can wear this for a typical work day. 6 to 8 hours is pretty good for a sports fragrance in my opinion. So that pretty much covers longevity. Let's talk about projection, sillage. Projection, it's kind of similar to a lot of Chanel fragrances in general. They don't really project like monsters. That's not really their style of fragrances. But I do think this does leave a really nice sillage. Again, it's not going to be a monster sillage. It's not going to completely take over a space once the fragrance has entered the space, but it does leave a nice trail. For instance, when I am wearing this, it's not like taking over my nose, but I get wafts of it for the entire time that the fragrance is, having at least some projection off the skin and is filling up the air nicely. So I would say for that, being a Chanel sport fragrance, it actually is at least pretty decent. All right, let's move on to compliment factor. It's a Chanel Allure Homme Sport fragrance. That fragrance is known for being a pretty good compliment getter. The Eau Extreme certainly is. I don't think this one is any different. So compliment factor for this is good to high. I don't really have a scale for compliment factor, but it's good. I mean, this fragrance smells really good, smells very classy. There's nothing about this that I would say is off-putting. So I would say the compliment factor is there for this fragrance. So that's pretty much the breakdown for this fragrance. There's no reason to really overcomplicate what this scent is. It is simple in what it is, and it does it very well to me. So let me move on to my final thoughts and give it a rating. For me, I'd say this is a solid 8 out of 10. Easily. Solid 8 out of 10. And that's a good rating for a sport fragrance in my opinion, at least to me, because like I said, I'm not the biggest sports fragrance fan. So I've only got a handful of them in my collection. So for me to even buy it says a lot about what I think about it. Final thoughts on this. I do need to say this. This fragrance is overpriced. I'm not gonna, skimp on that. Yet I bought it. Reason being is because it captivated me immediately. I didn't even have to warm myself up to this fragrance. There's something about this that I enjoy smelling it even right now after wearing it 3 days in a row this week, which I don't do often with fragrances. I'm still like, yep, this one works for me. So it's for me. This was worth getting, and I bought it at full retail. This was not sent to me. If Chanel is sending somebody fragrances, they must be really in their good graces, or they work for them. But listen, this fragrance is overpriced. This was $183 after Florida tax, so it's like $172 on the website. So whatever your tax rate is for your state, that's going to vary a little bit. But yeah, that's a lot for a sport fragrance, especially in the designer realm. So in my opinion, this is absolutely overpriced. So with that being said, get your nose on it if you can. I don't really see this one as being something a lot of people would blind buy anyway, especially since the likelihood of you getting it at a discounted rate is very, very low because Chanel don't play about that here in the States. If you're outside of the States, that may be different. I have no idea. And there may be some people that are brave enough to still try to push this at a discounted rate, but I would say for the most part with Chanel, you're probably going to be paying full retail. So this is expensive. Most people are probably going to pass on this, to be in all honesty. and I don't mind saying that. I'm just saying, hey, this is one that works for me. You're gonna see this on this channel as long as I continue to talk about warm weather fragrances up until I stop, and you're gonna see it next year because this is a great scent for me. But I'm not trying to sell you on it. I'm just telling you my thoughts on it, and I would say get your nose on it. You may think this is awesome. If you're a fan of the original Chanel Allure Homme Sport and you want to check this out, I think it is worth it, but that price tag is going to be high. But to be fair, all fragrances are going up in price. I wouldn't say that they try to raise the price on this just because, oh, we put out a new surprise Chanel Allure Homme Sport and we're just going to charge whatever for it. Guys, I think just the cost of doing business is up compared to when this originally came out. I don't even know what the original goes for, but it's probably like around $100, right? So yeah, that's pretty much my final thoughts on it. This fragrance did it for me, and I was willing to go ahead and buy it right then. But that's for me. I'm not saying you need to do the same, but I do encourage you to get your nose on it because I do think this is absolutely done to the quality of a Chanel fragrance. I think the ingredients in this are really good. I think the smell is impeccable. I do think it can be a successful fragrance for you if this is something you feel would make a good addition to your fragrance wardrobe, but you have to make that decision for yourself. You're not gonna hear me trying to sell you on this. So yeah, to cap it off, this was a full review of Chanel's Allure Homme Sport Superleggera. So guys, that is gonna do it for this video. Let me know down in the comments below if you have gotten your nose on this and what you think about it. Look, separate the price from the fragrance. Let me know if you think the fragrance is good, but then in a separate statement, tell me if you think that price is worth it or not. I do think you can separate the two. The fragrance can still be good, but might not be worth getting at the price point that it's at. Again, you have to make that determination. Appreciate you guys watching all the way into the end. I really do appreciate you guys. Please remember to be well and smell well. And I will see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.